Picture this: a vast red desert, no wind, no sound, just silence so deep it feels like the universe itself is holding its breath. Then, a rumble. A flicker of light tears through a rust-colored sky, and slowly, impossibly, a silver ship descends through the Martian atmosphere, its engines cutting the thin air like a whisper from the future. Nobody's there to watch it land, not yet. But someone planned for this moment. Someone has been planning it for 20 years. So let me ask you something. What if Earth isn't our final destination? What if every city, every road, every civilization we've ever built is just the prologue? Today we're talking about one of the most ambitious, most controversial, most mind-bending plans in human history. Elon Musk's blueprint to build a city on Mars. Not a research station, not a flag in the dirt. A city, 1 million people, a government, an economy, and eventually, its own sky. Let's break it down. Here's the thing about Elon Musk. He doesn't think in quarters or fiscal years. He thinks in centuries. And somewhere along the way, whether it was a book, a moment of clarity, or one of those thoughts that hits you at 3 a.m., he landed on one core belief, a belief that drives everything SpaceX does. Humanity is not safe on one planet. That's it. That's the whole idea. Simple, terrifying. And if you sit with it long enough, completely logical. Think about it. Every extinction event in Earth's history, every asteroid, every volcanic winter, every near miss we barely survived, we've been lucky. But luck runs out. Musk's argument is this: a civilization smart enough to see the risk is smart enough to do something about it. We don't have to wait to become another fossil record. So why Mars? Because when you look at the solar system with clear eyes, Mars is the only realistic candidate. Venus would crush you and cook you at the same time. The gas giants give you nothing to stand on. But Mars has a day that's almost exactly 24 hours long. It has water, frozen beneath the surface, locked in polar ice caps. It has gravity, about 38% of Earth's. Not perfect, workable, and in cosmic terms, it's close enough that we can actually get there with technology we're building right now. That technology has a name: Starship. SpaceX's Starship is the backbone of this entire vision. A fully reusable rocket system and the most powerful ever built, designed not just to reach Mars, but to make the trip economically viable through reusability. Every flight that lands and launches again is a flight that doesn't cost you a brand new vehicle, and when you're moving 1 million people to another planet, cost per person is everything. The timeline? Musk has talked about uncrewed cargo missions in the late 2020s, human missions to follow. Then, scaling up. Ambitious? Absolutely. Impossible? That's where it gets interesting. Okay, so we want to go to Mars. How do you actually do it? First problem: the fuel. Starship runs on methane and liquid oxygen. You can produce both on Mars using local resources, water ice and carbon dioxide pulled straight from the atmosphere. It's called in situ resource utilization, and it's the key to making this a two-way trip. You don't carry your return fuel from Earth, you make it there. That changes everything. Second problem: the launch window. You can't just decide on a Tuesday that you want to fly to Mars. The planets have to align. Literally, Earth and Mars only reach their closest orbital positions every 26 months. Miss that window, and you're waiting 2 more years. Every payload, every crew, every spare part, ready on time, or you wait. Third problem: the crew. Who goes on the first missions? Engineers, doctors, geologists, biologists, people who can build, fix, grow, and heal. Not passengers, participants. Early estimates suggest crews in the dozens, growing across launch windows into hundreds, then thousands. And what do they carry? Everything. Life support, tools, seeds, medical supplies, communications, because there is no Amazon delivery to Mars. If you forget something critical, you're solving that problem with whatever you have on hand. Now here's the part that doesn't make it into the promotional videos. The journey itself takes 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 months in a metal tube with the same people, in zero gravity for large stretches of it, completely cut off from Earth, with a communication delay of up to 24 minutes each way. Imagine sending a message home and waiting nearly an hour for a reply. The psychological pressure is enormous. Radiation exposure outside Earth's magnetic field is a serious medical concern. Bone density loss, muscle atrophy, immune system changes. The human body was not designed for this, and yet People are volunteering, thousands of them. There's something in the human spirit that looks at the hardest possible thing and says, I want to try. You've landed on Mars. The ship is down. The dust is settling. Now what? The first structures will not be beautiful. They'll be functional. Pressurized domes that hold a breathable atmosphere inside, while the thin carbon dioxide air of Mars presses in from outside. Underground habitats burrowed into the regolith, natural protection from radiation and from temperature swings that range from 20 degrees Celsius at the equator to negative 125 at the poles. You're not building a city yet, you're building a foothold. Power comes from two sources: solar arrays spread across the Martian surface, and small nuclear reactors for reliable baseline energy when dust storms, and which can last months, block out the sun. Energy is survival. No power means no heat, no oxygen recycling, no communication. Everything runs on it. Water is next. And the good news, it's there. Mars has significant deposits of water ice just beneath the surface, especially near the poles and in certain mid-latitude regions. Drilling, heating, extracting, complex but doable. And water doesn't just mean drinking. It means rocket fuel. It means crops. It means life. Speaking of which, food. You cannot ship enough calories from Earth to feed a growing colony forever. So you grow it. Greenhouses with controlled lighting, temperature, and CO2. Hydroponics, aeroponics. Systems that don't need soil at all. Because here's the catch. Martian soil is toxic. It contains perchlorates harmful to humans. Soil-based farming requires serious processing before it's safe. But it's being worked on. Right now. In labs on Earth. And here's where the vision expands, because Musk isn't talking about a base that survives. He's talking about a city that thrives. 1 million people. That number appears again and again in his presentations. Why a million? Because that's the threshold he believes is necessary for true self-sufficiency. Enough people to maintain industrial capacity, enough genetic diversity, enough specialization that if contact with Earth were ever severed, the colony could keep going, alone. From pressurized dome to self-sustaining civilization, the gap between those two things is enormous. But every civilization started somewhere small. This is where the engineering story stops and the philosophical one begins. Musk has spoken openly about Mars as a place free from the accumulated weight of Earth's political systems, a chance to start fresh, a direct democracy, he's suggested, where laws are simple and short, and any law can be repealed by popular vote. No entrenched bureaucracies, no century-old institutions that exist because no one got around to dismantling them. Sounds idealistic. Maybe it is, but it's part of the pitch, and it resonates with a certain kind of person. The economic model is harder. Early settlers, by most projections, would arrive essentially in debt, their passage paid for by loans they'd work off through labor on the colony. It's been compared charitably to frontier economics, and less charitably to something with a darker historical echo. That tension is real, and it hasn't been fully resolved. Eventually, over decades, the colony would develop its own economic output, resources, manufacturing, knowledge, and Musk has spoken about eventual independence from Earth, not a colony anymore, a civilization. And then there's terraforming. This is the long game, the 100-year, maybe 1,000-year project, heating Mars enough to release frozen CO2 from its poles, thickening the atmosphere, raising temperatures, eventually making parts of the surface hospitable to life without pressurized suits. Ideas range from orbital mirrors to directed cometary impacts to engineered microbes that begin altering soil chemistry from the inside out. Can it actually work? Scientists debate this fiercely. Some say the physics doesn't support it. Mars lost its magnetic field billions of years ago, and without that shield, solar wind will keep stripping away any atmosphere we build. Others argue that with enough scale and enough time, you change the equation. What's not debatable is the ambition. We're talking about remaking a planet, not terraforming in a science fiction novel, in a spreadsheet, with a budget line. Is this salvation for humanity, or the most expensive escape hatch ever built? That question hangs in the air, and it deserves to. Not everyone is cheering. Scientists raise legitimate concerns about planetary protection, the risk of contaminating Mars with Earth biology before we even understand what's already there. Ethicists question whether one person or one company should be making decisions that shape the long-term trajectory of an entire species. Economists point out that the resources flowing into Mars colonization could solve very real, very urgent problems on the planet we already live on. And then there's the question, no promotional video answers directly. Who gets to go? If Mars is humanity's backup plan, then it belongs to all of humanity. But if the price of a ticket stays beyond reach for most of the world's population, then what we're really building isn't an ark. It's a lifeboat for a very specific kind of person. Is this the future for all of us, or an exit strategy for a select few? That question doesn't have a clean answer, and maybe that's exactly why we need to keep asking it. We're back to that red horizon, the silence, the rust-colored sky, the same image we started with, except now it's different, because now you know what might be there. Domes catching the pale Martian sun, underground tunnels humming with recycled air, greenhouses full of the first food ever grown on another world, engineers arguing over schematics and habitats that smell like metal and effort. The city isn't built yet, but it exists. In blueprints spread across warehouses in Texas and California, in code running on SpaceX servers, in the minds of thousands of people who walked away from more conventional lives to work on something they believe in completely. Whether it becomes real depends on decisions being made right now. Technical ones, political ones, moral ones, and maybe, in some small way, on whether enough people care to pay attention. So here's what I want to know from you. Is Mars humanity's backup plan a genuine second chance for our species? Or is this one man's dream dressed up as something bigger than it is? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them all. And this is exactly the kind of question worth arguing about. And if you want to keep following this story, where it goes, what's possible, what's terrifying, what might actually happen in our lifetimes, subscribe, because we're just getting started.